What's going on, guys? It's Cimo. A couple minutes ago, Konami decided to drop the ban list, and it's been a while since we've done this, considering I think this might be the longest time we've gone in between ban lists. Full disclosure, it's not like I play much modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, but you guys like my reactions for some reason or another, and who knows, maybe there's some fun stuff on this list. Fun fact, I was going on the Konami website to find the list. In true form, they haven't updated it on their actual fucking website yet, thanks. So we get their fucking Twitter post, and that kind of ruins the fun, because it's not as, like, revealing this way. So it is what it is. Let's go ahead and get right into it because we already got a obvious one here. And I also started like recording thinking it was the list. And I'm like, wait a minute. I swore they hit these cards last list. Turns out because it was the old fucking list. Anyway, so here's our bans. We have our bans all out here immediately. We have Moon of the Closed Heaven. We have Splash Mage. We have King of the Fairlimps. And of course, we have our card here, the Paradise Smasher. I am so happy Moon of the Closed Heaven is banned because every fucking deck that can just make this card has access to full Fiendsmith combo, and I think that is fucking stupid, especially because it is just, like, so easy to play through shit when you know you can just keep two monsters on the board and make Moon, and then it's just like, oh, now I have full combo, like, in another axe. Like, it's just fucking dumb. Like, I'm so happy that they banned this card. Splash Mage is a big one for, like, Malice. Splash Mage is an incredibly strong card. It's funny because, like, they're obviously not going to go after, like, the Malice cards because they're, like, too new. So they're like, okay, what other cards can we hit around Malice because we need to keep selling Malice? And Splash Mage is obviously one of, like, the collateral damage hits here. I think Splash Mage is pretty good for what it's worth, but, like, it's kind of like the choke point of the combo in a lot of ways, too. Because, like, with Malice, you don't really go after the monsters. You go after their links, and that's, like, sort of, like, their choke point. So, like, banning Splash Mage, that was just, like, a free material for them. So, like I said, I feel like this is collateral damage because they can't, like, hit Malice. Like, they might have limited stuff, but they're not going to, like, ban it outright. So, I think it's a good hit, though. I mean, at least it just, like, makes it way less recursive in a lot of ways. King of the Fairlimps is banned. That is interesting. And then Paradise Smasher. Smasher is a card that a lot of people just wanted banned because it's a turn skip, right? It's fucking stupid. And this was a card that you read it and there's like, okay, at one point there's going to be a deck that Paradise Smasher is like going to be broken. And of course, then they release like K9 and then of course it's broken, right? So it was only like a matter of time until someone figured out a degenerate way to like abuse this card. And I'm glad they hit this because I think this was like a card that, for the most part, if you talk about people about the current format in Yu-Gi-Oh!, a lot of people have actually been enjoying the game. And so this was like one of the few cards that like people all collectively agreed was fucking dumb and needed to get hit. And in actual form, Konami hit it. So good for them. King of the Fairlimps, I have zero idea why they hit this, to be honest with you, because, again, I've been out of modern Yu-Gi-Oh! If there is some, like, crazy combo, please let me know in the comments, because, again, this is just one I have no idea why they hit. Granted, it can search any reptile in the game. That's pretty fucking good. It's not like it's level restricted or anything. It's not like a once per turn per copy, so, like, you can make multiple. I'm sure there's some, like, degenerate reason they banned this card, but, like, I'm just out of the loop that I just don't know why they hit it. So, if anyone wants to tell me in the comments, I would appreciate it, because I'm not afraid to say that I don't know. Anyway, limits. Holy fuck, that's a lot of limitations. Okay, well, see, I was right. They did limit Malice, but they're not going to just ban it outright, right? You know, they still need to, like, sell their cards. Anyway, so we have Extrazial, Malice. I'm going to try to not read what's below and try to just, like, go one at a time. So Ryziel got another hit. I believe last list they, like, semi-limited a bunch of the Ryziels, and now we've limited one. Again, we're kind of like just, you know, we can't ban these cards outright, so we're going to, like, you know, try to just restrict them as best we can. Maybe we'll ban them, like, next list or something like that, but makes sense just, like, reducing Ryziel's consistency because the deck is just so fucking consistent. You know, if you have less names, then there's like a less likelihood that that's the case. Sure. Dormouse makes sense. This is the best opener for Malice that you could possibly have. And so now, like, you can obviously still get it like from the deck, but now you only have one copy. So now if you're going to like do anything like Allure of Darkness or like Gold Sark or anything like that, at least you only have the one. So it makes like the follow-up a lot less punishing in that case. So I think it's It's definitely a consistency hit for sure, but the deck still has the ability to do all of its stuff until we see, you know, other shit, right? Obviously, I haven't gotten down lower here. Vanquish Soul Razen. Okay, makes sense because K9 Vanquish Soul is arguably one of the strongest decks at the moment. So again, just kind of a consistency hit. It's funny because we're not going to hit the K9 stuff because it's way too new, but hitting like Razen because, you know, Vanquish Soul is pretty old at this point makes sense. Lacrima. Didn't they ban Lacrima? I think, but I mean, if Moon is gone, then like it doesn't matter because now not every deck just has access to Fiendsmith combo, so like makes sense. Link Karibo's back, which is very funny. They hit this because of Snake Eyes format specifically, and it's funny because now that like Snake Eyes isn't really a deck, like yeah, you can still play it, but it's not nearly like, you know, it wasn't like the fucking powerhouse it was, you know, a couple of years back. With that deck sort of gone, like Link Karibo's back. I think it's probably fine. Like, people were only playing one copy of this anyway, to be honest. Like, so the limitation here doesn't really matter. They could have put it to 3, and people would probably still just play the 1. It's a very annoying card in the sense that, like, it can dodge effects and, like, do a lot of really powerful things. But, you know, if there isn't really, like, a level 1 deck right now that, like, just can abuse it like Snake Eyes could, like, it's probably fine to come back. Summon Sorceress is also coming back here. This makes sense because I believe it has its errata at this point, so it's not nearly as broken as it used to be. I don't think, you know, like, maybe some decks could take advantage of it, but it's not nearly, like, the powerhouse it used to be. So, like, this is probably fine. I wouldn't be surprised if she goes to, like, fucking 3 next list because no one's going to play her. Herald of the Arclight going to 1 as well is kind of interesting. I feel like the decks that play Herald were already playing one of this card anyway. Like, yeah, sure, like, if you're playing, like, a ritual deck, you might play more of it because you can, like, send it off, like, you know, different cards. But, like, this is an interesting one. I feel like this limitation doesn't really do anything, but maybe I'm mistaken. It's hard for me to say because, like I said, I'm not like super well versed with what's going on in the format currently. But I feel like this card being at 1 doesn't really change much. I feel like most decks just played 1 of it anyway, unless you're like specifically like a ritual deck and you can send it off of like extra foolish burial or like random shit like that. You know, like that's like the only other thing I can think of. Drident is back. Drident got banned and then unbanned and then rebanned, and then it looks like Drident is back once again. Zoo lovers rejoice. One Drident is still pretty damn good. I'm not sure if we're going to be seeing like Zoo make this massive resurgence or anything, but Drident's back. Cool. Sick. Crystron Inclusion, I know that, like, Crystron K9 is also a deck, but I'm not sure if that is, like, a hit that actually matters, but I think that deck is pretty good. Obedience Schooled is another pretty strong one. I feel like Obedience School is another card in the category similar to Paradise Smasher, where in old Yu-Gi-Oh!, you were kind of like limited on how much you could do with Obedience Schooled, right? Because people who might remember the old days remember like Raccoons played Obedience Schooled. That was like really the only deck that would. But now we're at the point where, you know, there are decks that can take advantage of a card like this and do way more compared to what you could do like 10 years ago with a card like this, because it gives you 3 bodies, right? Like, it's crazy. So, like, I can understand why they would limit this card. I feel like limitations are so weird sometimes, though, because then it just feels like your opponent sacked you because it's like, oh, I opened the 14% one of that's going to, like, play through everything or just, like, give me an insane starting setup. And so I feel like limitations are always like walking this fine line between the binary world of like they should just ban it because it's like too good, or they should unlimit it because like it feels like less sacky if you only have one of it, right? It's like a weird like philosophy thing, but interesting. Stake Your Soul makes sense because, again, Vanquish Soul being like one of the best decks, not too surprising. And then Solemn Judgment. This is really interesting. Like, Solemn has gone all over the fucking ban list throughout its history, and now we're putting it back to 1. I actually don't hate this because Solemn Judgment's role at this point has basically become play Solemn Judgment in the side deck, and then when you know you're going first in games 2 or 3, you bring in Solemn Judgment, and you basically just use Solemn Judgment to, like, ensure your opponent just, like, can't play the game. And at 3, like, if you're opening multiple copies and you do a setup, and even if your opponent interrupts you, as long as you end on, like, a half-decent board, if you back that up with, like, a couple Solemn Judgments, like, you literally just blank 2 cards that your opponent has, and typically it's the best 2 cards that they have. Like, you're going to be stopping the board breakers, right? You're going to be stopping, like, the most powerful cards that they have, like, triple tack and, like, things like that to be able to actually fight back, evenly matched, like, just anything like that, you know? And so the fact that Judgment just blanks those essentially, depending on like what other deck you're playing or anything like that, I think I understand this hit. It seems kind of weird because it's like, in theory, Solemn Judgment should be fine at 3, but I think the fact specifically that its like main purpose is just a going first sideboard card. And this is like more of a philosophical discussion of like sideboarding in general, because I think it was during stream during the subathon. I can't remember, but we had a discussion at one point that like sideboarding, there's an argument to just play best of one or just not have sideboards, because sideboarding has just become, at least in Yu-Gi-Oh, sideboarding for the most part has become play when you know you're going first or second. If you're going first, you play the most degenerate cards that make it so that your opponent can't play the game. And we've seen this multiple times with cards like Summon Limit or Anti-Spell or a Pointer of the Red Lotus or like whatever, like other cards that have been hit historically, right? These are the cards, or like Rivalry of Warlords. Like I can go on, you know? So that's like what you're doing going first. Like it's not even like your deck's main game plan. It's kind of like a secondary backup plan that also just happens to win you the game if your first game plan doesn't go through. So that's like the going first thing. And then going second, you're just playing a bunch of stuff to like basically blow your opponent out, because you're playing like the big blowout cards like, you know, Nibiru if it's a hand trap, you know, like Dark Ruler No More or Triple Tack or Evenly Matched or the same thing, right? And so there's this like philosophical debate of like, if sideboarding is just used to just basically one-shot the opponent and just like play a card that's going to blow them out and that they just don't have any way to like recover, whether you're going first or second, because there's tools for both. Like, why even have side decking at all? Because then like the game just kind of devolves into, oh, do I draw my silver bullet that's just going to like fucking win me the game automatically, versus actually having to like play the game itself, you know? And so it was an interesting discussion, and I think like this is kind of like where Solemn Judgment falls in that discussion. I think it is just one of those cards that it's, you know, when it was unbanned and at 3, some decks would even main deck it, you know? Like I remember like Zodiac would main deck stuff like this when the game was obviously a lot slower, because the game isn't like nearly what it was like 10 years ago. But now, like, these cards are just solely relegated to the side deck because the main decks have to be so consistent with their engine and, you know, and or their non-engine, depending on, like, the circumstances. And now we have a card like Judgment getting limited. So it's like, I get it. It's just weird, you know? It kind of just, like, brings up more questions overall, but it is what it is. All right. Next up, semi-limited. This is so fucking funny to me. One card, I will say I am a fan of this because I hate the semi-limited list. I think it is the dumbest fucking concept, period. Some people might argue, oh, from like a consistency perspective, like cards like, you know, Mali or Ratpier or whatever, like deserve to be here. I just think keep it at 3 or 1. Like, I don't think the semi-limited list really does anything for the most part. Simply just like a quarantine zone for like when they unban or unlimit cards, excuse me. They're like, you know, we don't want to put this to 3 yet, so let's put it to semi-limited first. And then they always typically next list put it to 3 because, like, it doesn't do anything. Branded Fusion, I believe, was limited, and so now it's going to semi, but I could be thinking of Master Duel where it's limited because we have fucking 3 different formats, and that just confuses the shit out of me. So this either went from 3 to 2 or 1 to 2. I'm pretty sure it went from 1 to 2. Branded has not particularly been, like, a deck that's been at the forefront of the metagame, although you can still play it, and especially if you're on Master Duel, you will still see it plenty. But this is like, Branded Fusion's an insane card. So like, you know what? Maybe this is like the boost they need to bring Branded back in, especially because like we have like the Albaz lore and everything like that. Maybe they're, you know, maybe there's some ulterior motive here, but I hate this fucking card. So great. Can't wait to have to see more of this. And then the Unlimits. Holy crap. There is a lot of them. Okay. So we have Glow Up Bulb. Wasn't Glow Up Bulb banned? Or was it at 1? I can't even remember. Like, I remember they banned Bulb because in Link format, like, they were just banning, like, everything that was, like, a Hulk target back in the day. So, like, Bulb was kind of, like, the collateral damage there. So, it's been so long, I don't even remember. I think it's been banned this whole time, and they just straight up put it to 3. That's really interesting. Like, I feel like there is actually decks that could play Golub, especially because Link Karibo's legal again, right? Like, there is an argument that you could play Glow Up Bulb. Huh. Okay. Masterpiece is legal. That is, like, not a surprise. I think the OCG... Wait. Did they? Wasn't it unbanned last list? Or am I crazy? Oh, no. It went to limited last list, I think. And now it's at 3 because this is unlimited. That's annoying, but fine. Like, no one's playing Masterpiece as it is anyway. And I have gripes with this card because the fact it says, like, unaffected by shit, like, I think it's a dumb card. Granted, even if it's not seeing play, I just think, like, if we're looking at this game on, like, a greater level of, like, the types of cards and the gameplay we want to enable, I don't think Masterpiece should exist in the game. I just think it's a very fucking fundamentally fucked up card. And I just don't think it should exist, even if it's not played today. I just think, like, why would we want this type of card in the game? So that is what it is. Morphing Jar, who the fuck's playing Morphing Jar in 2025? Like, I know there's degenerate stuff you can do with it, but, like, if someone wants to play fucking Empty Jar in 2025, fucking let them. Like, they're gonna get hosed by hand traps and shit. Like, it's not the same. I guess we have a flip deck in, like, Mimighoul or some shit, but, like, whatever. Like, no one fucking cares about Morphing Jar. Phantom Skyblaster, this is really funny. I believe I just showed... Oh, God, the video's not up yet, so I'm gonna get hosed for this. I believe I just showed this card to either Raren or CGB in a card review video that hasn't gone live yet. And this is a card that basically, like, back in old Link format, was actually quite good. Like, Striker Trickstar played this card because it was just free Link material, because if you went, like, Hornet Drones to get a monster, and then you could, like, Sky Blaster, and because you control another monster, you make 2 tokens, so you have, like, 4 Link worth of material. It's just kind of a dated card. There's an argument that it could potentially see play, but, like, I think it's just too slow with how fast Yu-Gi-Oh! Has gotten, because this card was limited/banned back in... limited. I don't think it ever got banned. This card was limited back in 2017, 2018. So we're talking about, like, a 7-year-old. I mean, it was obviously printed before that, but it wasn't really good back in the day. So we're talking about a card that hasn't really seen play in 7 years. I don't... Like, it's a good card, don't get me wrong, but I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just, like, far eclipsed what Phantom Skyblaster's purpose is. Ash and Poplar are at 3 again. So... I said what I said about Linkuriboh not knowing that Ash and Poplar are back at 3. That's interesting. I think we still have things that are hit, because isn't the dragon still banned? I think it is. I think they banned the dragon. I can't remember its name. But if the dragon is still banned, I don't think this is that concerning. Maybe there's a way to make this work, but I don't think so. Diagram going to 3 is, like, in the same vein as Masterpiece. Like, who gives a shit? I'm kind of surprised that card was still, like, on the list at all. Lightning Storm going to 3, another one that's kind of gone all over the place. Fine, it's another board breaker. Like, we have Raigeki at 3, so, like, if you're gonna, like, go board wipe, like, Raigeki's arguably better, but Lightning Storm has the modality, which is, like, why it's, you know, it has its purpose, and so... You know, it's kind of going back to the argument with the side decking. Like, people just side deck Lightning Storm to blow out their opponent, either with, like, the front row with monsters or back row if they're a back row deck. So, like, you know, whatever. But we have Duster and Heavy Storm and Raigeki at 3. So, like, why not just put Lightning Storm at 3, too, at that point, right? We just have all the board, like, breaking shit just being at max capacity. And then Barrage going to 3. That is actually very interesting for Zoo. I still think Zoo is not going to make this, like, crazy resurgence or anything. However, having 3 Barrage is at least, like, a tool that it could use potentially, but I think it's just past its prime. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh's just gotten so crazy now that I don't think you're going to be doing, like, you know, Zeus Pass or, like, Trident Pass most of the time. Like, yeah, like, there's a bit more nuance to Zoo than that, but I think it's kind of past its prime. But who knows? I could be wrong. So... that is it. Overall, this is a huge list. We have 4, 8, 9 unlimits. We have this, so 10. And then we have 4, 8, 12 limitations. So 22 plus the 4 bans is 26 cards moved on the list. That's pretty significant. We usually, like, get, like, half of this, if that, sometimes on a ban list. So we actually saw a lot of stuff move around, and I think this addresses a lot of people's biggest issues with the format, like specifically Paradise Smasher, so now you don't have a turn skip. Moon of the Closed Heaven makes it so that every deck can't just go into Fiendsmith combo, which... playing, like, Master Duel with this being the thing, too, is so fucking frustrating, because it's like, anytime I see them just link into Moon, I just auto-concede, because I know I'm going to be sitting there for another 5 minutes while they Fiendsmith combo, even if I disrupt them, so that's irritating. We have some consistency hits to, like, Vanquish Soul. We got 2 hits there. Malice got Dormouse hit, which on is... oh, and it got, what else? Splash Mage, that's the other big one as well. So, like, that got hit. We have some, like, cool stuff come back. Like, we have, like, the Zoo stuff coming back. We have, like, our good old friend Link Karibo, as well as stuff like Branded Fusion moving, the Snake Eyes stuff coming back. But again, if the Dragon's banned, like, I don't think that's that big of a deal. Glow Up Bulb coming back is kind of cool. I think decks could actually take advantage of this card. All things, maybe without Hulk, it isn't as busted as it used to be. But it is still, like, a Link 2 worth of material just by itself, which is pretty strong. So, like, for some decks, that could be, like, a cool starter. Yeah, and then we have, like, worthless shit, like Dragonic Diagram and Masterpiece and Morphing Jar and Phantom Skyblast are going to Unlimited. So, yeah, I mean, I think this, again, I don't play Modern, like, so it's kind of hard for me to really evaluate, but it seems like from what I hear my Modern playing friends complain about, this solves a decent number of issues. Some of the best decks get consistency hits, and they lose, like, some of their power cards. So it'll definitely, I think this is a net positive from my understanding. There are still some things that I think people wish got hit. Like, they brought back Protoss, and I think people want Protoss, like, rebanned again. But I don't know. For the most part, like, this seems good. Like, I think if you're playing Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now, you're eating well. It's again, with the little knowledge that I have, this seems to have addressed most issues. And I think this kind of reigns in the power level of the top decks. So it's going to be interesting to see how things shape up. But for the most part, I think, like, the top decks are still going to be dominant. But they're just going to be, you know, slightly more hit. I think that's fine. They lose some of their auto win buttons. I think that's good. And, like, what more could you really ask for? I guess this seems like a good list. Again, I'd be curious to hear what you guys have to think as people who probably actually play Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! So let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.